everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share the final installment of my Happy Pawlidays little series here. And these last two puppies I created using some accessories from the Mama Elephant Yappy Wolfmas, along with two critters from the Mama Elephant Lunar Animals stamp set. And I will share with you guys the whole process and why I did what I did to create these last two puppies for my Christmas puppy wreath. I hope you enjoy this process as much as I have enjoyed creating this. So first I took the little puppy from the Mama Elephant Lunar Animals stamp set. I'm just going to stamp this little critter out. I thought the splits that he was doing was so stinking cute. I'm going to ink him up with Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm stamping him out twice to get a nice clean crisp image. And then I took the little puppy with the antlers from the Mama Elephant Yappy Wolfmas set just so that I could fussy cut out and use those antlers for this puppy, because this puppy, like I said, is from the Lunar Animals set, and so it doesn't have a holiday feel to it, so I thought I could accessorize it so that it would have that holiday feel. For the other critter, I am using a present from the Yappy Wolfmas stamp set, stamping that off to the side on one side, and then I'm going to create a mask of it with a little post-it note. I'm going to fussy cut that out. And I do this so that the critter that I'm going to stamp on can look like it's holding up the present with its paw kind of behind the present. So anything that you mask off is going to be up front, and then the image that you stamp behind it will look like it's behind, or second is going to look like it's behind. And I'm using the rabbit from the Lunar Animal stamp set, and I'm wiping off the ink around the ears before I stamp it. I'm going to show you one more time. I've inked it up, and then I'm taking my stamp chamois and I'm going to take off the ink from those ears, and I'm making sure it's dry with my finger and stamping it out nice and clean and crisp. When I remove the mask, as you can see, it looks like the little critters holding the present there. And now I'm using a Copic multi-liner pen. This is a 0.1 point, and I'm just gonna quickly doodle on some prick ears. And I took the prick ears from another one of the little puppies, one of the ones throwing the snowball from the Yappy Wolfmas set. So for that first puppy, I'm going to just make him into a Dalmatian, doing different size spots all around. And I noticed a lot of Dalmatians don't have a lot of spotting on the face, so I'm trying to leave that area a little more clear. I'm going to just doodle in essentially a whole bunch of different dots, and I'm using the N4 to do this just so that I kind of make sure I like where these dots are positioned. And now I'm gonna darken these up a little bit smaller than the original N4 dots with an N5 marker. And I do that so that the spots look more kind of realistic, because spots aren't, really clean edged. They're made up of fur, so I wanted to give that kind of a little bit of a fuzzy look to the edges of each of these little dots. Now I'm using the N0 to add a little shading under the chin, where the ears would cast a shadow, the lower parts of the face, the bottom parts of the legs, bottom parts of the belly as it sits on the floor. And now I'm going to re-emphasize those shadowed areas a little bit more with the N1, especially the areas that I know will have a cast shadow, because those shadows could be darker. Now I'm taking a 0 just to erase some of that shadowing around the face, just to make it a little brighter. Off camera, I stamped out a bone with a bow on it. That's from Yappy Wolfmas, and I have colored it up really simply just to add a little bit of red to this image, and I'm inking around the edges. I also used the antlers that I had stamped out and shown earlier, and I'm inking around the edges of this image too. And I'm going to add a little bit of quick Copic coloring just to add a little dimension with a gray. And then I wanted that aqua color for this image too, so I've decided to make the antlers kind of more fun, like it's part of a costume or something. And I'm just going to clip off the little extra part of the paper that I had left on just to make the coloring and fussy cutting easier. And now I'm gluing these on to the top of this little puppy. Now for the paws, I am using an X-Acto blade to cut around the paws here because I want to tuck in that bone with a bow underneath these paws, so it looks like this little puppy's holding on to it. And I've popped back the little paws, and I'm inking the edges of that too, because I don't want the white of the paper to show when I put the bone with a bow underneath it. And I'm also cutting the sides of the bow because I want the bow to show up as if the bow is on top of the little paws, but the bone is tucked behind the little paws. See how that works? And I'm gonna just add a little bit of wet glue here just to make sure it's nice and secure. I'm using a fine tip nozzle on this wet glue. And then I'm going to emphasize the eyes with Sakura black glaze pen. Also the nose, I'm just inking that up to give a little high shine and a tiny bit of dimension. I also add glossy accents to the antlers to give that a super high shine. And that's the first completed little composite puppy to make it more Christmassy. This next image, I'm going to just color up simply. I'm using the standard red and aqua combination that I have for this entire series. I'm adding some shadowing with the darkest red where the bow gets cinched, where the lid casts a shadow, where the bow might cast a shadow, and then I blend out with the R37. For the box, I'm using the aqua combination. I lay down the base color, and then I'm adding a little bit of shadow with that mid-tone. Underneath the lid especially, and where the ribbon might kind of cinch against the box. And then I'm blending out with that mid-tone, the BG13, and then blending back out with the lightest BG11. So that present is fully colored. Off camera, I have also added some clear wink of Stella to that present just for a little shimmer. For the ears, I quickly colored in R30 for a pale pink. And now I'm going to kind of doodle in some fur texture to give this puppy the look of kind of a husky. And I looked at a lot of images on Google to find out the kind of markings that huskies typically have, and I wasn't quite sure, so I started off with the paler N3, or actually an N0 initially, and this is the N3. And I wanted to get the kind of vertical line at the center of the forehead down first, and then kind of the arches around the eye area, and then the curve around the muzzle. The rest of the body I'm just coloring up dark, leaving the belly white at this point. But I really like how this looked. It almost looked like, this little dog had a bit of a mask, and that is exactly how I think huskies look. So now I'm feeling a little bit more confident about where I've put the marking, so I'm going to use a slightly darker N4, and also remembering to make sure that the darker markers are used where there's shadows underneath the little face, at the bottom of the legs. Now I decided I want the husky to look more sharp, so I'm going even darker with an N5, and especially around the kind of mask area, around the eyes, around that stripe at the top of the head. If you look at pictures of Siberian Huskies, they really have kind of a gray silver to dark black fur dimension. So I wanted to try and get that, and I'm just using some small flicking motions. I'm going back in now with an N4 just to bridge the gap there. I didn't want too much of a stark contrast, and I wanted this little puppy to look like it's got fur. Now I decide the white areas can't be stark white. That would look non-dimensional, so I'm using an N0, and then where I thought I had gone too robust with that, I blended it out, or I erased it with the 0. Now I'm just laying in the floor, the W3, and where the foot has landed on the floor at W5, and where the shadow might be for his lifted leg, a little bit more forward, I put another little bit of W5, and I've just put some wet glue on a ring of diamond dies, circle nesting dies. I cut this out of red shimmery paper like I have on prior puppies, and I'm inking the edges with a red Sharpie marker so that the white of the base doesn't show beyond the red frame that I've done. For the eyes and the nose, again, I'm using a Sakura black glaze pen just to give a high shine and a tiny bit of dimension there for the eyes and the nose. And I wanted to leave that little bit of white highlight on the nose too. And that's the second and last, I guess, completed puppy for this holiday wreath. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Thank you so much for watching.